everyone, welcome back. My name's dustinkreis, and today we are going to do a film discussion. And we're going to talk about Star Trek Into Darkness. Now, a couple days ago, Wednesday in fact, I went out and purchased my ticket for the midnight showing because the signs and the posters all said Thursday night at midnight they were going to show this film. So I was like, great, Thursday night, I have Friday off, I can go see this movie and have the next day off to kind of sleep it off. Now, what always happens to me with these midnight showings is that I was wrong. Dead wrong. The showing was actually that Wednesday night, once it turned over to 12, that Thursday. So the day I bought the ticket, I had to go see the midnight showing. And I had to get up for work at 6:30 in the morning the next day. Get up at 5 to be at work at 6:30. So I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, you know, this is going to be a long day. And I went, and I was thinking about it. I was thinking about taking the ticket back and getting a refund. And I was like, you know what? I haven't done anything this stupid in a while. So I went to the midnight showing. Got home at 2:30 after the film was done. And woke up at 5 and went and did my work day. And by the end of the day, I was dead tired. But I can safely say to you guys, it was worth it. I had this sort of running commentary with the new movie, was that we were going to look at kind of Star Trek Into Darkness, like the Dark Knight compared to Star Trek's Batman Begins. I really, really loved the reboot of Abrams' Star Trek. And it's only here recently that I've been watching the film and kind of looking at it going, wow, that is a really rushed film. Like, just things happen, you know, really fast. You know, it's kind of goofy in a way that, you know, all these things, all the puzzle pieces start falling into place, and it's just supposed to be the universe correcting itself. But that being said, I still think that this is a very fun and very a great addition to the Star Trek canon. And especially in terms of rejuvenating the franchise. So, needless to say, there was a lot of hype going into this film. And before I get too much into the film, I'm going to say this. I'm going to keep this spoiler-free for a while. And then, towards the end, I am going to start talking about spoilers with the film. And not only with this film, but with some of the other Star Trek films as well. Because this film does reference a lot of the older films, and I feel like I need to talk about that as well. So anyway, the film deals with Kirk and the crew. They haven't yet settled into their 5-year mission. They're still kind of bumming around doing various missions for Starfleet, while Starfleet tries to mold this incredibly young crew. It involves them getting caught up in this terrorist plot by this sort of unknown agent within Starfleet known as John Harrison. And Harrison causes a bombing in London, and then the Enterprise is sent out to investigate this, bring him to justice, and all that. This film, it feels a lot more like Star Trek, for more reasons than one, but it feels more like Star Trek in that it's taking a modern day problem that we have and focusing it under, you know, the goofy lens of science fiction, and that is terrorism and what we give up in sort of the name of safety. And in a lot of ways, this terrorist plot by John Harrison, it does a lot more damage to Starfleet than just or just the Federation, than just a you know, a destruction of people and buildings. The Federation is a very peacekeeping organization, and to see the sort of the nature of that change into a more militaristic route, and you know, the development. We've all seen the trailers now of the Dreadnought class starship. You know, the development of this sort of weapon of mass destruction, if you will, this starship that is just built for nothing but war. It's, you know, I know a lot of my friends who are really into Star Trek was like, this is not what Star Trek is about. And that's the point. Starfleet is not supposed to be building these ships of, mass destruction. These powerful torpedoes, that can fire long range, and it brings to mind the drones of nowadays. So it's a really interesting plot point, and it's nice to see Star Trek go back to some weightier themes, especially after this film. For all the whiz bang action this is, Star Trek usually tries to have more on its mind than just a big action-packed adventure. Action-packed adventure, that's Star Wars. Star Trek always tries to bring something to the table, a philosophy or a comment on certain things. And while this one didn't really have that, it's nice to see Into Darkness brings that back. So, Kirk and the crew go out and they attempt to bring this guy to justice, and shit gets crazy from there, and we'll talk about that after, the spoilers and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this film is fantastic. I loved every second of it, and I'm chomping at the bit to go back to see it. I want to go back and see it and just notice more and more things, because a lot like how Skyfall was a love letter to James Bond fans, with all the references to the old movies and stuff. This really is as well, and Duncan. If you have knowledge of the previous movies, there's going to be a lot of little Easter eggs and little comments and things like that. It's really going to put a smile on your face. The big one that got me was when Carol Wallace. We'll just keep the spoilers free. Carol Wallace is talking to Kirk about his reputation, and talks about how Christine Chapel has left the ship to go be a nurse at Starfleet Medical. And if you watch the original series, Christine Chapel was the ship's nurse, and she kind of had a thing for Spock. Well, in this universe, she can't really have a thing for Spock, since Spock is with Uhura. So it kind of makes sense that Kirk, it kind of makes sense in a temporal way that since this universe's Kirk wanted Uhura and she's with Spock, well, in some kind of dimensional justice, Kirk then went and nailed the girl that was all into Spock in the original series. So I kind of got a chuckle out of that. The film is absolutely gorgeous. I saw it in the 3D, and aside from things really in the foreground being blurry, I always have that problem with 3D. It actually looked really, really awesome, and I was really surprised because this was not filmed in 3D. It was post-produced into 3D. So, sort of all the complaints about the original movie, the budgeneering, the using a Budweiser plant as engineering, it's still there, but it's kind of been shot in a way that it doesn't seem as ridiculous as the first movie, and it kind of fits more. And you just kind of, I don't know, maybe it's because of the second movie and you see it again, you just kind of accept it more than that jarring, oh my god, they're in a beer plant. They're not in a starship, they're in a beer plant. The acting in this movie is amazing. The actors are really getting into their parts now, and you can really start to see a comfort level with. For some reason, I always, everyone praised Quinto's Spock, but I didn't really see him have the stillness that Nimoy brought to the character, and it's really it's really starting to come through now. Pine's Kirk. Every now and then there'll be a little wink to how Shatner played Kirk, and that's fun. But I really am enjoying Pine's Kirk. The real revelations in this movie, I think, are Carl Urban's McCoy. He's just nailing DeForest Kelley. And the big thing, and a thing I had a problem with in the first movie, I felt like Scotty didn't get a much. My mouth is drying up. I feel like Scotty didn't really get much play in the last film, and in this one, Scotty is a major part of the movie, and I feel like Simon Pegg's. In the first movie, he was very comedic, and Scotty is kind of a comedic character in some of the original series episodes, and certainly some of the movies. But I really felt like this movie, man, Simon Pegg just really nailed Scotty, especially when Kirk is bringing on these sort of advanced torpedoes, and Scotty is pleading with him that this is not what Starfleet is. We don't want these weapons on this ship. And he actually resigns his commission. And it was just such a really awesome scene to see, especially when Scotty calls Kirk Jim. Now, I can't remember at any point in the original series, McCoy called him Jim, Spock called him Jim after a certain, period. Never has Scotty called Kirk Jim. And to see him do that, it's like him pleading on another level. Like, no, we're dropping the pretenses here. Jim, get these fucking things off the ship. Really awesome scene. Really enjoyed that. What else? The music uses the same themes. Of course, it's the same composer from the last film. And I guess now that the first movie had been put out, I was expecting more of the Alexander Courage fanfare in this. It still uses the same main theme for the main theme of this universe, and then of course when you get to the end credits, you get the original series music, and it really is nice to hear that that big fanfare there again. But yeah, guys, I don't know what to say. Go see this movie. It's one of the best summer movies. I haven't seen Iron Man 3 yet. Of course, I missed out on a lot of the Avengers movies, so I kind of feel like if I go see Iron Man 3, I'm not going to know a lot of the references they're making. But as far as just like, if you just want to go see a big popcorn action flick, here you go. If you want to go see another great Star Trek movie, here you go. For me, this is personally, I find this movie a lot better than the first 2009 Star Trek. So I'm going to go ahead and end the spoiler-free discussion here. From this point on, I am going to go into more of the plots of the film and the plots of some of the other films, because when you reboot a universe like this, it does draw from the past. So, if you have not seen the film yet, I would advise you to click off now and go watch it. So anyway, yeah, I kind of knew going into this what the big reveal was, and I think a lot of people did. Unfortunately for me, it was spoiled that John Harrison is actually Khan from the original series. And the Abrams crew have been kind of dropping hints. There was the fact that in one of the trailers, there's the line that you have 72 of them on your ship right now. If you remember from Space Seed, there are 72 survivors on the Botany Bay. So they kind of slipped it out in sort of a weird way there. But when it was finally revealed, that scene with Harrison being actually Khan, there were some giggles in the audience and some, oh, I knew it! But I'm just sitting there like, alright, let's see what they do with this. I was a little disappointed because, I mean, you can't do Star Trek, the original series, without having Khan. He's kind of like, Batman to Joker, for Kirk. And I was kind of like, all right, let's see what they do with this. And I was actually really happy with how they did it. Did the movie get a little lazy towards the end? Writing-wise, yes. But it was really awesome to kind of see how this movie mirrored The Wrath of Khan. And taking things that happened in The Wrath of Khan and sort of flipping them and changing them around a little bit. It's what I love about these alternate universes, and when they do things like this, is just seeing how events we know play out differently. I really loved Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan. I think he did an awesome job. Not as campy as Ricardo Montalban, but as sinister and evil as he ever was. There is the scene where he... fuck. I'm going to end this quick because my throat is just closing up for some reason. There was the scene where he was pleading for the members of his crew and talking about how they are his family. He would do anything for his family. And it really harkens back. I don't remember Khan ever saying anything like that to anybody about his crew, but there was always that loyalty that Khan had to his people. Even when they were marooned on Ceti Alpha 5, or Ceti Alpha 6. No, they were marooned on Ceti Alpha 5, but doesn't matter. They were marooned on Ceti Alpha 5. And the planet got laid waste, And he was still there, taking care of his people as much as he could. I think part of me wishes they would have done something completely original, but part of me watches the movie that I see, and I'm like, they did a really good job bringing Khan into this new universe. You know, that's kind of the cool thing, too. Like, I was hoping it was going to be Gary Mitchell. I was hoping, back when we didn't know anything about Benedict Cumberbatch's character, I was really hoping it was going to be Gary Mitchell, and we were going to get a crazy, Where No Man Has Gone Before, you know, movie adaptation. And I thought Alice Eve, instead of playing Carol Marcus, which if you watch Wrath of Khan, you know that this is eventually going to be Kirk's love interest, and the mother to his child. And there's a little hints of flirtation and stuff in this film, but you know, they never seal the deal, and I'm hoping that in the third movie they bring her back and kind of seal the deal. But yeah, that's sort of the big reveal about this, is that it's Khan. And like I said, if you go back and you watch like The Wrath of Khan, you know, especially that, there's going to be a lot of times you're just going to be sitting there looking at the screen smiling, because I think this is really a Star Trek movie that celebrates sort of the history of Star Trek, which is what they can do with this alternate universe. They can go back and do the old stories and just kind of change them a little bit. But yeah, so my view is I still think Wrath of Khan and Star Trek VI are my two favorite Star Trek movies. But I do think that Into Darkness does kind of beat out First Contact for the number 3 spot. Yeah. What else can I talk about? The movie does feel a little rushed. Of course, this is the first time I saw it. But the space battle between the Vengeance, which, when you get into the plot, and a lot of people kind of got upset about the ship being named the Vengeance. But we think about the plot and understand what's going on with them basically sending the Enterprise on a suicide mission to instigate a war. The christening of a battleship to sort of help fight the Klingons, called the Vengeance, in like remembrance of the Enterprise's thwarted sacrifice, makes sense. It makes sense that they would do that. This sort of patriotic ship named the USS Vengeance. We're getting vengeance for what those Klingon bastards did. One, helping out John Harrison, and two, destroying the Enterprise. We're gonna, you know, it makes sense that the ship would be called that. So, but that the ship battle is, I was expecting something a little bit more. And I guess when I think about Star Trek ship battles, I always go back to this movie, because this is how to do it. It's a submarine battle, and I think with the Abrams Treks, they're just a little too fast paced. The ships move around a little too quickly, and especially, I mean, when you think about it, the Vengeance is going to knock the shit out of the Enterprise, but I just feel like the battle kind of commences, and the Enterprise never really gets to fire back. It's just like, oh, fuck, you know? But anyway, yeah, so that's sort of the spoilerific part of this. So if you stayed around, I would love to, don't comment about Khan in the comments below. Don't say a word about Khan, please, because people who haven't seen the film, I don't want to ruin that for them. The way it got ruined for me is when I went onto IMDb and I saw that they changed Benedict Cumberbatch's name to Khan. Not rumored anymore, just Khan. And I was like, oh. And then it happened and I was like, oh. So I really don't want that spoiled for anybody else. So don't mention anything about Khan. So if you're talking about Khan, just say John Harrison. And don't talk about, you know, but anyway. Yeah. Star Trek Into Darkness. Fantastic film. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go now film 2 more videos. So thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time.